Hi, my name's Greg. I'm one of the lecturers on the Level 3 Extended Diploma Games Animation course at Caliworth College. I'm going to talk to you a bit about the way that we do things on that course and how it kind of pans out across both years. So the first year is really fun. I mean, both years are fun, but the first year in particular, you really kind of learn the things that we needed to learn. So the first project tends to focus on 2D and 3D skills, or at least it will do this year. So we'll kind of encourage you to do a lot more drawing, which will push, everyone out of their comfort zone. We do need you to get better at drawing for concept art, which is no easy thing. We've got some amazing books at the college which we pass around and we analyse all together. But yeah, getting better at drawing things, getting better at drawing characters, getting better at drawing assets for, game, animation, VFX products. But also building in those kind of core 3D skills, so actually learning how to use Maya and 3ds Max, which is the primary 3D software that we use, getting really good with those, understanding how to use it, how kind of advanced geometry works, how to edit shapes so that they obviously become something that looks like an asset for a game, or even to the most advanced extent a character or anatomical model for a game. And then your second project is way more kind of focused on actually using those skills in practice, so coming up with concepts for a small game. Not necessarily doing anything as advanced as kind of character modeling at that early stage, but actually building and learning some game mechanics for Unreal Engine. So Unreal Engine is one of the most widely used engines in industry. And it's free too, which is a huge bonus. So that's the one that we use during the college. It also doesn't require any prior knowledge of coding or C++ or C# or anything like that. It's a bonus if you know it, because you can write nodes, you can write scripts, all that kind of stuff. But we don't. The whole point of Unreal is that you use something called visual scripting, which is you're essentially using code that's already written. So if it's not something you're comfortable with, it's not something that we teach necessarily. But we do really kind of go in there with the game mechanics stuff. So that might involve creating a simple kind of first-person shooter, or essentially something that's primarily 3D based. But yeah, simple puzzle game, etc. The third project in your first year is kind of a culmination of both of those initial projects, in that you were given the opportunity to write the brief. So with past projects, project 1 and project 2 for example, there's generally 3 projects in each year. We wouldn't have told you what to do, but we would have said, make something that's kind of concept art and then model it or whatever. Or for example with the second project, make a simple game, use some mechanics that we've taught to create like an environment with kind of basic level mechanics like casting damage, or collecting assets, coins, tokens, whatever it is in a game, kind of simple things that you might see in a level. And then you actually, with that third project, would write the brief for us. So we don't tell you what to do, we only tell you that you have to do a project. So it's incredibly open, super independent, and you essentially focus on whatever it is you're most interested in at that time. So that obviously might change. It might change during the project itself. The whole point is that it's a journey, and you lead us on that one, and we kind of just make sure you're doing all right throughout. That's also the project which determines your mark for the year, so it's quite important. So all of the kind of units, there's generally more units in the first year than the second year, but the ones in the second year are worth more. You would, for example, you'd only be marked up, for example, a pass for your first projects, because it's all about skills building. It wouldn't necessarily be fair to say at that early stage someone is so much better than someone else. So they're marked at pass standard, so complete the tasks, well done, you've passed. Whereas the last one, our final major project, is obviously pass merit distinction. So quite a lot of the year falls on that one, but again, another super cool thing about the course is that it is only coursework focused. So whereas other courses have exam units, or some sort of exam based learning or whatever it is, we don't have anything like that. It's just coursework based. Your second year is a little bit different in that the projects get a bit longer, they also get more advanced, and they're kind of more geared towards you doing stuff which would potentially benefit you in university, or your next step after the course. So if that was a job or an apprenticeship or whatever it is, you have a unit which focuses on that kind of research. So you saying to us, what could I do after the course? And then you have a look at that via that particular research unit. So you have a look at what options are available, kind of try and establish yourself as some sort of professional identity, if you will. So create a business card, create a website, or a digital portfolio or paper portfolio, if that's your thing, with a view to you obviously completing, for example, if you want to go to university, completing the UCAS process, which the majority of our students currently have done, and then using that research to make a firm decision on what you would do after your extended diploma is finished. The other units in that year, so one is super technically focused. So the way that we've written it in the past is that you would make a way more advanced game. So for example, in your first year, we might have a skills brief which says, let's make a character model. But with your second year, that character model has to look professional. So the first one might be a kind of, you could think of it as a sort of dodgy run at it. And then in your second year, you animate it. You generally, the way that a game works is you have a model, character model. You texture it, so you give it color, you give it armor, you give it sort of shaders which would make sense for it, and then you give it bones, you animate the bones, and then you would, for example, say you're making a third-person shooter game, you might need a running animation, a walking animation, a crouching animation, an idle animation, or 3 different idle animations, a jumping animation, a double jump animation. Obviously the list is kind of endless with that, but we teach you professional kind of industry standard animation techniques with industry standard animation software. So you model stuff, you rig it, you put it into Unreal, which would be the game animation. You hook up all the animations and then you get it working in the game with obviously those bona fide level mechanics in and around it. So as I said earlier, collecting coins, casting damage, end level scenarios, main menu screens, load screens, widgets, HUD bars, health, all kinds, collectibles, ammunition, whatever it is. You would model those individual assets, so make those kind of 3D things for games. And then kind of make a little world with a character that can explore it. So it's probably the coolest and most advanced project that we run. We've had some really, really amazing outcomes from it in the past, but it's by no means easy, that project. The unit that runs alongside that one in your second year is also really important. It's more of a kind of formal essay style task, which would involve you more rigorously analysing and evaluating some of the more interesting and I guess iconic, or I guess that's the right word, more iconic kind of games and mechanics that you've experienced within games, but really, really looking at them, not just saying that this kind of jump in a game is cool, or this kind of weapon is really interesting, or whatever it is. It's really going into both the art style, the design, and mechanically how that thing works in game and its kind of wider world. So it's quite an invested unit, that one. And again, the last project in that year is another final major project. So again, you would write the brief. We would only say that you need to fulfill the unit. We wouldn't tell you what to do. The slight difference with that year is that we kind of formalize it by making you do a professional standard pitch presentation. So you would, just as you would do if you were pitching an idea for a game whilst working in a studio, you'd be expected to present that, not just make the game. So yeah, we do that. And I guess kind of across both years, that's pretty much it as overviews would go. Again, just as a recap, they're very project focused. Both years involve primary skills development for animation games and VFX skill sets, but we use primarily professional methodologies and workflows in order to get you to a place where you're really confident using those things, but also in the knowledge that you're not using software which you won't use again. The whole industry uses the software that we use. Much of the industry uses, for example, Unreal Engine or Unity, for example. We don't really touch on Unity that much because, as I said, it involves the ability to write code, which we're not necessarily going to teach you. But yeah, it's a course which wants to give you a professional skill set, so that you can obviously go on and use it after your diploma. Again, to reiterate, there is no exam-based units. There's nothing like that in there. So it's just coursework, which might appeal to those of you who really don't want to do any more exams post GCSE. And our rooms are used, so they're really well kitted out for what we need to do. The PCs and stuff are a really good specification. But it's also the kind of esports room. So we as a team, so the games, animation and VFX lecturers, we work in tandem with the IT and computing lecturers in order to run the esports. So if that's something that you're interested in, it is obviously one of the academy options available when you start the college. So yeah, feel free to get in touch with us about that when you start, or obviously tick that box beforehand during your interviews, and that's kind of you signed away with that one. But I think that's pretty much it. We have a really exciting course. We teach you how to do stuff in line with kind of professional workflows for 2D for concept art, 3D for kind of asset design and 3D modeling, and also games dev stuff. So yeah, it would be really cool if you wanted to contact us, any of us. There's not just me, I'm Greg, obviously, there's Jason and there's Sam as well, so we're a fairly small but very competent team, and we really want to kind of keep the standard of work that we've had up so far. So if there is any questions that you've got or anything that you want to ask about, whether esports or the course itself, feel free to get in touch. But yeah, it's a really exciting course, and obviously we hope, if you are interested, that you would apply. So get in touch if so. Bye.